E11 is to approve Fraser's Mathematics Solutions Hybrid Assembly. Resolution E12 is to approve the acceptance of funds for school-based mental health grant year 2. Resolution E13 is to approve the Girls on the Run program for Franklin Elementary School. And Resolution E17 is to approve employee 12412 to administer the access test in the home, the residence of student 256679.
Second.
For the agenda items, that's up, Mr. Cohen, and second? Any discussion?
Yes, Madam President.
Yes.
I'm just very excited to see that we're devoting some TLC to mathematics. This is in reference to E11. I know that throughout the state, most students are struggling with mathematics, and COVID certainly did not assist students in staying in the trajectory. So I'm glad that we are partnering with Fraser's Mathematics to make that happen. Also, I was very excited I really had to look it up, E13, Girls on the Run. I was curious if the girls were going to be running, Dr. Benacuesta, but I see that it's a very nice program for young ladies to develop their communication, collaboration, and leadership skills. So kudos to those that are running this program at Franklin.
Any other discussion? Yes.
Yes, I was also very happy to see the change in status for the Franklin Elementary School and Jefferson Elementary School to meet the criteria to be eligible to exit the comprehensive support that had been going on there for years. So they are making progress. I'm very happy about that. It's a bright moment for the district, I think, when we are elevating our schools this way. So, and I think that Mrs. D'Amato and Mrs. Dr. Baskerville are doing great jobs. And along more so with their teachers. I think they're inspiring their teachers. They're all working very hard because they know, I guess, where they were, and I'm sure they're happy to be moving forward, making some progress.
And to echo Madam Vice President with the Fraser's mathematics, I must say that you really have to trust like the timing of our lives, or I guess the district lives, because I do believe this, the owner came and presented how many years ago? About 2 years ago, and we connected and reconnected, and we have finally made it happen. I would like us to just always to follow up, like let the board know how she's doing, because I'm excited about that partnership. And with that, all stuff said, this motion any other discussion? This motion has probably been moved by Mr. Cohen and seconded by Ms. Manisi. Can I have a roll call, please, Ms. Capielli?
Yes. Ms. Carbonell? Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mrs. Conte Mackey?
Yes.
Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. Netsta?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes, thank you. Next, we will have Fiscal and Planning Committee Chair, Ms. Carbonell, to present the resolutions to be voted on tonight.
Before I do that, I do want to thank Dr. Benacuesta and Ms. Kuhn for working to make sure that we are fiscally responsible. I know it's a delicate balance between the things that we want to do in the district, but also keeping in mind that we also serve the community. So thank you both, and I think we're, taking the right steps to make certain things happen, not only in the district, but also for our community. And in addition to that, I just want to give a shout out to all the students that were here tonight. That excites me so much to see students exercising leadership and being role models for other students. And very, very impressive with 2 young ladies with was it a 5-point something? So kudos to Abigail and Sneha? Sneha. I want to make sure I said it correctly. Congratulations. Every student, if you're listening, can do this. No one in the world has special abilities. What we have is passion and drive to follow what we care about. So everyone has the opportunity to make something happen. Now to the fiscal side of things. Madam President, F7 was approved at the last meeting, as well as F12 through F18, and F19 is for informational purposes only. Therefore, I'm going to read the other resolutions for tonight. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Fiscal and Planning Committee presents the following resolution for the board's consideration. F1, Treasurer's Report. F2, Secretary's Report. F3, Certified Treasurers and Secretary's Report. F4, Approve Appropriation of Transfers. F5, Approve List of Contracts and Purchase Orders. F6, Approve District-wide Travel and Related Expenses. F7A, Approve District-wide Student Field Trips. F8, Approve List of 2023-24 State Contract Approved Vendors. F9A, Approve List of Contracts and Purchases from the Student Activity Accounts. F9B, Approve Fundraisers. F9C, Accept Donations. F10, Approve 2023-24 Out-of-District Student Placement List. And F11, Approve Center for Developmental Psychiatric Evaluations. And last but not least, F20, Approve Early Childhood Preschool Budget for the 2024-2025 school year.
Second.
Any discussion?
I do have a question.
Mhm.
On F20, is that 8 mil fully grant funded?
Yes.
Okay, I thought I saw that, but I wanted to double check. The font was very small, Ms. Kuhn. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Wonderful. The motion has been properly moved by Ms. Carbonell and seconded by Ms. Marilyn Williams. Can I have a roll call, please, Ms. Capiolo?
Ms. Carbonell,
Yes.
Mr. Cohan,
Yes.
Mrs. Conte Mackey, Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi,
Yes.
Mr. Nasta,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden, Mrs. Williams,
Yes.
Ms. Santana.
Yes. Thank you so much, Ms. Capiolo. So upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Legal Committee presents the following resolutions for the board's consideration. We have L1, approved settlement agreement, and we have L2, that is a walk-on from our executive session. I am making the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? The motion has been properly moved by Ms. Santana and seconded by Ms. Manisi. Can I have a roll call, please, Ms. Capiolo?
Yes. Ms. Carbonell,
Yes.
Mr. Cohan,
Yes.
Mrs. Conte Mackey, Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi,
Yes.
Mr. Nasta,
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden,
Yes.
Mrs. Williams,
Abstain.
Ms. Santana.
Yes. Next, we will have the operation, Mrs. Scott Hayden, the operations chair, Ms. Scott Hayden, to present the resolutions to be voted on tonight.
Good evening. Upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Operation Committee presents the following resolution for the board's consideration. O1, approve security drill bus evacuation reports. O2, approve acceptance of funds, emergent and capital maintenance needs grants. O3, approve request from Brandon Thompson for UHS. And O4, approve renewal of membership for NJSIG.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I would just like to add that I'm very proud of O3, our Union High School graduate coming back and just gracing our halls with all the talent that he has. And I hope that all these students come back and, well, I actually want them to stay in the town selfishly, but if they don't, to just come back and show where their foundation was. Excited to see the video and excited to see everything that he brings to the table. So
Madam
this
President,
motion.
Madam
Yes.
President, before you call for the
Yes.
vote, I'd like to point out that I am conflicted on Resolution 04, so I will recuse myself.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I just want to echo on '03, those lyrics were beautiful, so I'm so happy to have him come back and do that video here.
And we'll share the final product.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. So, any more discussion? This motion has been properly moved by Ms. Kimberly Scott Hayden and seconded by Ms. Manisi? Yes, thank you. Can I have a roll call, please, Ms. Capiello?
Yes. Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes on Resolutions 01, 02, and 03, and abstain on 04.
Mrs. Conte Mackey? Yes. Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. Nasta?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes. Next, we will have the Personnel Committee Chair, Mrs. Manisi, to present the following resolutions.
Okay, I'd just like to point out that we added P5 and P6 to our agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, I'm the resolutions. Upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Personnel Committee presents the following resolution for the Board's consideration. P1A, Personnel Actions New Hires. P1B, Personnel Actions Extra Pay. P1C, Personnel Actions Transfers. P2, approve the substitute list. P3A, accept letters of resignation and retirement. P3B, approve leaves. P4, approve professional development, discovering the power of the creative curriculum cloud. And we added P5 to approve termination of employee 12917 and employee 12471. And P6 to approve withholding of an increment for employee 13199.
Is there a second? Any discussion? Seeing none, this motion has properly been moved by Ms. Manisi and seconded by Ms. Kimberly Scott Hayden. Can I have a roll call, please, Mrs. Capiello?
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mrs. Conte Mackey? Yes. Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. Nasta?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes to everything, abstain from P5, P6, yes to everything else.
Ms. Santana?
Yes. Thank you so much. So there's no policy to vote on tonight for the policy committee. These policies will go back to the policy committee for further review. Is there anything you'd like to say, Ms. Marilyn Williams?
No, other than I'll have to be following up with Mr. Dennis to set that date for the next.
Thank you so much, Ms. Marilyn Williams. So moving along, Mrs. Manisi will have the following residency resolutions.
Okay, so again, through executive session, we added R2 to our agenda. So upon recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Residency Committee presents the following resolution for the Board's consideration. R1, report of students voluntarily transferred to district, out-of-district residents. This is no vote required on this. And R2, remove student number 351088 for discussion in our executive session.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? The motion has been properly moved by Ms. Manisi and seconded by Kimberly Scott Hayden. Can I have a roll call, please, Mrs. Capiello?
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mrs. Conte Mackey? Yes. Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. Nasta?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heeden?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Abstain.
Ms. Santana?
Yes. For the Technology Committee this month, there are not any technology resolutions to present. Mr. McDowell, would you like to say something in reference to the Technology Committee?
Yes, just a
Thank
few
you.
things. We met the other week, and just a couple of things that's going on in technology. 2 weeks, I guess 2 weeks ago, they had the state testing and that's all using the instructional technology. Everything's done online. And I think I'm sorry to see Mr. Arminio go because he was one of the people responsible for getting the one-on-one, the one-to-one computers for our children here in the district. So we are kind of, I guess, moved into the 21st century. And what else? We are also investigating faxing over the internet provider, and training is going on in the district now for the business office personnel. The Avaya telephone systems have been installed in the classrooms pre-K through 4 schools. And they're working on configuring to call out of the district, but presently they can call 911, they can call the main office, classroom to classroom, and any other offices within the district. The network audit took place on March 13th and March 14th, and I believe that Mr. Paul will share a report on that at our next committee meeting. And the last thing is the application for E-rate funding to renew district internet access and wide area network access for Jefferson School, and that's going to be that has been submitted for bidding, and again that's through the E-rate.
Any discussion? Thank you so much, Mr. McDowell.
You are welcome.
May I have a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? The motion has been properly moved by Ms. Manisi and seconded by Ms. Elsie Conti-Mackey. Can I have a roll call, please? Mrs. Capiolo?
Ms. Carbonell?
Yes.
Mr. Cohan?
Yes on everything except check number 137396, on which I abstain.
Mrs. Conte Mackey? Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi,
Yes.
Mr. Nasta?
Yes.
Mrs. Scott Heaton?
Yes.
Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes. Thank you, Mrs. Capiolo. Is there any unfinished business? Is there any unfinished business? Moving on to new business. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes.
No, new business.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say, since we are in Women's History Month, and this is our last board meeting for the month of March, I had the privilege today to be on a small panel in Kenilworth School District speaking to young women of various shades of beautiful colors. And I would be remiss if I didn't make sure that I uplifted our young women in our community and us as women as a whole. So I would just like to say to every young lady, young woman, and women here in this space, those who are watching on Facebook Live or whatever method of streaming you're watching, I just wanted to leave you with one quote that I spoke to today, and it was called, "I choose. I choose to live by choice, not by chance, to be motivated and not manipulated, to be useful and not used, to make changes and not excuses, to excel and not to compete. I choose self-esteem, not self-pity. I choose to listen to my inner voice and not the random opinion of others. I choose to be me." So I hope that inspired some of our young ladies who walk the halls of our very school buildings who may need a word of encouragement. I want you to know that we as board members, we see you, we uplift you, we encourage you, and we most of all hope to inspire you.
Thank you. Any other news?
Madam President, so I wanted to just bring some information to light. I sit on the Union County Educational Service Commission, and at our last meeting, we adopted a budget. And one of the things that I learned from that was transportation. Everyone knows that that is my one of my biggest things that I do champion for and advocate for is the safety of our children with disabilities and transportation. And what I learned at that meeting was that all of our kids, all buses, transportation are mandated to have cameras on board. And I don't think that a lot of parents know about that, especially those of us that have children that are nonverbal and cannot tell us anything. It brings a great comfort.
They can't hear you at home.
Oh, let me move the mic up. Sorry. Thank you. My apologies. So just to run back, sitting on this county commission board, one, I did learn the astronomical amounts of funding that goes into transportation. So it's definitely something for us to really look into. But more so, parents with kids with disabilities, like myself, whose children cannot tell us what's going on the bus and cannot really give us details if anything is actually happening, and safety is kind of the biggest concern, Dr. Benaquista and Madam President, Madam Vice President. Bottom line is we send our children out on a wing and a prayer and hope that they're being safe. One of the things in the discussion that opened up all districts talking about is what do we do internally within our community, with our districts, to ensure that we're following the mandate. Are these buses equipped? Do we know? Is there something in place? And can we better educate our parents to at least know that this is available? Because having that gives some peace of mind, knowing that there's something to protect the kids who cannot defend themselves and or tell us. So I circle back to the both of you, just to gain some insight on that and really make sure that our community of kids, our special kids, and family members and caregivers are educated and at least aware that this exists. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam President.
Yes.
Mr. Arminio was here this evening. He mentioned a lot of things that are going on in town. So I just wanted to mention that there's a fundraiser for the Memorial Day Parade Committee. It's on April 21st. It's called the Dueling Pianos. It's going to be held at the Senior Center. It's in the afternoon, 3 to 6. And it's to raise money for the Veterans Alliance for the Memorial Day Parade. So if anyone is interested, they can reach out to Mrs. Teresa over at the Senior Center if they're interested in tickets.
Madam President.
Yes, Mr. Cohen.
So I have two items. The first is that in recognition of Women's History Month, I'd like to make certain the public knows that our president is going to be on a panel tomorrow night of accomplished women from the community, sharing her experiences in leadership and her path to community service. I'm looking forward to that panel discussion.
Thank you.
I'd also like to share something that I read in the Star Ledger yesterday, and to acknowledge a comment made by one of our neighbors from the public related to the budget. This was a letter to the editor written by, oh, now I lost the author's name. But she's a resident of the town of Bordentown, and she was talking about reductions in budget cuts to the Bordentown Board of Education's budget. She works in human resources, and she talked about her experience with applicants and employees, and she pointed out that cuts to school budgets could affect students for the rest of their lives. Student without access to youth programs becomes an employee who struggles with teamwork. A student without access to a music program becomes an employee who lacks critical thinking skills. A student without access to a drama program becomes an employee who has difficulty speaking in front of a group. A student without access to language programs becomes an employee who struggles with communication. So I'd just like to acknowledge that we're doing our best to bring all the resources to bear to make certain we provide the best educational program for the students of this community, and we bear all of those issues in mind as we have our deliberations and make our decisions. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Yes, I just want to let everyone know that the topic is her story is our story. I'm excited to be there tomorrow, and I invite everyone that can come. I think that there's like a pre-registration. Yeah, it's 6 to 9 at Galloping Hill. I think it's pre-registration. I think it's closed out, but, you know, say you know me, maybe you get in, I don't know. But if you go, I'll see what I can do. But I did want to let everyone know also that our fearless leader over here, Dr. Benaquista, we have is this the first one? Oh. Oh, okay, so this was the March, or is it, from our children? It's just exciting, it has a lot, our kids, our township, our superintendent, the teachers, great information about all that's going on. It's Student Farmer Frontline, What's Up with TUPS. I invite everyone to try to somehow, oh, yeah, it's getting pushed out tomorrow, yay. So looking forward to read it, see the beautiful pictures. I'm a visual, so when you see people, especially people that you know, you have that familiar connection. So excited to read about it. Do we have any other new business? Yes, Marilyn.
To say that it's really impressive with her story, how quickly the registration closed, how quickly people, wanted to be a part of that, because the women that are on the panel are all amazing. They bring very different things to the community, so it's nice, and I'm very proud of our president.
Oh, thank you.
As
Thank
one
you.
of the panelists.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you.
Madam
Yes.
President, I
Yes.
just have one quick thing. It's kind of, could be old, but it's kind of new to this audience. I want to just thank Ms. Hall. We started diving into our mission statement with her,
Oh,
her
yes.
student group, and next step is going to merge the group of students that handle the newspaper as well as her group together to take it down to the next step. And so we are, again, moving forward on really hearing the students' voice on making sure the mission statement fits them. So, we're going to continue the rest of this year to hopefully, again, be able to present a new mission statement for the upcoming year.
Yeah, I remember, so, taking on this role, President, one of the first things I said to Jerry, I said, Jerry, we have to do something with the mission statement. I don't know where it came from, and neither do I want to go back. But what I wanted to say is that I'd like to make it ours, the boards, the students, everybody, and kind of something that we're proud to speak on or speak to every single board meeting. I know that in the past, there's been comments like, oh, we don't live up to this mission statement, or I don't even believe in it. Well, I do. And what I am going to do is anything that we bring on to be the new mission statement is something that everybody will be proud of, everybody will live up to. And I'm happy that was one of the, that you're working on that. I'm going to love to see the outcome and then have our board's input on it and see where we go from there.
Madam President, if you permit me.
Yes, of course.
I just want to say between the newsletter, the decals, the students doing their thing, the mission statement, I am so optimistic and so happy that we are rebranding ourselves one more time to exemplify what everybody thinks of Union Township and Union Township schools. So thank you to everyone that worked together, including the teachers, for making that happen. That's exciting. We're in an exciting time.
Very, very, very. Any other comments?
Move to adjourn.
Oh, second. Ms. Capiolo, I have a motion from Mr. Carhan and seconded by Ms. Mary Lynn Williams. Roll call, please.
Ms. Carbonell? Yes. Mr. Cohan?
Yes.
Mrs. Conte Mackey? Yes. Mr. McDowell?
Yes.
Mrs. Manisi?
Yes.
Mr. Nasta? Mrs. Scott Heeden? Mrs. Williams?
Yes.
Ms. Santana?
Yes.